Hi guys, Chris with Western Colloid. Today we're going to be covering a scupper detail. We're going to be using our 800 elastic cement coupled with some polyester. I have a 12-inch roll, 20-inch roll over there, a 6-inch roll, and I'm going to piece this together. This is a good size scupper here. This is a new install. So I'm going to go ahead and get this scupper all 5-coursed out ahead of time before the field ply comes. You can see the old membrane still in place. It's been cleaned, it's swept and blown and ready to go. But I'm going to do this scupper detail for you guys today. If this was just a leak repair, you could do it the same way. We're going to unify all this, make it one seamless membrane that water won't be able to protrude into. So for the most part, this is all shaped okay. This is our chance to reshape the way the water flows off the roof. Right now, I'm pretty happy for the most part with the shape of this. I feel like water's going to leave okay. As we go through here, we have some sheet metal, some modified bitumen that's been sealed in with just an asphalt-based mastic. And then over here, I don't really like this corner too much, so I'm gonna cut this out. It's okay to demo this as much as you need to. I always recommend tear it down until you have something good to build up from. This stuff is okay. It can stay in place as it is. Like I said, this one corner right here bothers me a little bit. I think that's gonna stop water from being able to get off of here, so I'm just gonna cut that out and round it. Make it a little bit smoother through that transition. The rest of this is gonna stay in place, however. It's gonna be a little bit of time it's gonna take me to do this, but if we do it right, we should only have to do it once. So I'll put this scupper detail in place. It'll extend in every direction out a good 8 to 10 inches, and that'll give us a good lap to go on to when we're putting our deck on, when we're putting our field ply in. Stand by, let me get to work, and we'll see how this all comes together. Okay, that was pretty easy prep. It was basically just one corner, so now I got it prepped, I'm ready to go. And I'm just gonna start spreading mastic through here. We've got a lot of mastic to cover. And what I'm gonna do a 5-course technique, and I'm gonna stagger my laps, so there's not a one defined endpoint. So I'll put a first ply on, I'll brush it in real nice, get it nice and smooth, and then when I go to put the second ply on, I'll extend it out another inch or inch and a half, so it's a little more tapered and doesn't have a defined endpoint. So this particular scupper is it's newly installed. Typically that's not the case. Usually these things are built up with mastic and have been patched. We all know these are problem areas on roofs. And so when that's the case, and you have mastic built up on the inside or along the outside, trying to prevent against leaks, it's important that we get that cleaned out. Now, if the old roof went all the way to the end of the scupper, then we gotta cut that old roof back some, same as we did on the top of the wall. So occasionally, you'll find a situation where there is no end, it runs all the way to the outside. In those situations, take a blade, cut the old membrane, demo it out, clean it out real good, scrape it, use a wire brush if you need to, but get it cleaned out really well, and then so we have a good termination for our products. Now this one's quite a bit easier. This was a new install. It's squared up a lot nicer, so in this case I'm still going to take it a minimum of 2 inches beyond, but it's more accessible since this was a new scupper. So this is going to get multiple layers. The important thing is to make sure that all those layers are fully adhered and there's no air underneath the sheet. So if you have to make cuts, go ahead and make the cuts. This is going to get multiple passes through here. So just try to make your cuts in different places. So this first one, I'm just going to cut this off at an angle so I can fold this under. Now I can fold this one in, stays nice and flat. Full adhesion through the corner. Actually, I'm gonna cut this off. So another important thing, make sure we have product underneath the sheet at all times. So as you saw, I cut my sheet a little bit long to begin with, and it extended beyond where my mastic went. You don't want to just put that sheet down and then put mastic over the top. That'll pull off in time, no problem. So very important that at every step you're not putting dry polyester on top of a dry roof or dry polyester on top of other dry polyester. Go back to the bucket, get more mastic, so every new layer of polyester has a bead of 800 acrylic mastic to set into. So you can see this first pass, I'm being pretty liberal with the mastic. I'm using it to kind of build up some of the transitions. It's okay to be messy. All this stuff is gonna get cleaned up in the end. Right now, I'm just trying to shape my scupper. I'm trying to give a nice thick bed of mastic for my polyester to sit into. I use the gloves. I think it spreads much faster. And but I'm just spreading it for right now. And we're gonna put this on here. At the end, we'll clean it up and we'll make it look pretty. But for now, it's important just to get a good healthy dose of mastic on the bottom. So right here in this corner, there's a tight transition. I can't get the sheet to sit down real nice in it. It's having some bridging. I'm gonna go ahead and put a relief cut in, right in this corner, just to get it to sit down. Again, main thing is full adhesion. So it's not about keeping the polyester intact. It's about getting adhesion from the products of the 800 elastic cement and the polyester to the deck. So air is our enemy in these areas. Cut into the corner, and then generally, as long as your cut finishes at the corner, you should only have to make the one cut. Got my sides done. Move into the top now. I got a little gap right here between the two sheets. I'm gonna use the mastic just to fill that gap in. It's a little thicker right there, gonna take a little longer to cure, but it won't sag, it won't fall out of there. And once I put the polyester in, it'll hold it in place, and that'll make this whole scupper up much smoother. So another thing that just occurred to me is I see sometimes a lot of guys, you have the proper tool for the proper job. Nothing works better for cutting polyester than scissors. Use scissors. If you try to cut this stuff with a knife, it's gonna end up all frayed and the edges are gonna curl out. So it's not like you need a lot of tools. Pretty much a pair of scissors and a chip brush will get it done. The glove is nice to have, but you know, a much cleaner cut with a pair of scissors than you'll get with a knife. So if you look right here, I'm a little dry behind this piece. I'm actually a little dry down here too. Don't have quite enough mastic spread. You got to take the time to peel this back and get the mastic that you need so the polyester doesn't sit on a dry surface underneath it. So I'm gonna spread just a little bit more mastic. So now I have a nice bed for this to sit in. Again, make my relief cuts. If you cut to the corner, hopefully you only gotta do it once. If you miss the corner, no big deal. Make additional cuts if necessary. Again, more important to get full adhesion than it is to, about the number of cuts that you make. We can undo the cuts, no problem. Just gonna use the glove to tighten all this up, make sure I don't have any air or wrinkles. I'm not gonna put the full top coat on yet, so while you have some time to work, you know, it will dry a little bit. So, and this is a decent sized scupper. It's gonna take me a minute to get it all covered. So right now I'm gonna leave the top coat off. I have another ply to do on here anyway, but I do wanna try and keep my wrinkles and my air out as I go. It's much tougher to go get those things later. After I add additional pieces onto this, it's gonna be a lot harder to access where that air is. So just kind of quality check as you go. Make sure everything's nice and tight, take your time. So I feel pretty good that everything I've done to this point is tight. It's a good base for me to build off of. So I'm gonna go ahead and continue on with our 5 course. And you can see how much faster this goes spreading it with a glove. I can get a handful on there, dump the handful on, and spread it out by hand much, much quicker than if I could do if I was going back to the brush repeatedly and trying to spread it. It's just a much slower process. So get it spread. Right now we're just getting a good bed for it to sit in. It can be kind of messy. Right now it's not very smooth. I'll get that all fixed before I put the sheet in, but it's about production. You know, on the roof, anywhere we can shave a few seconds off is money in all of our pockets, and it's a better way to attack a roof. So anywhere you can find to speed a process up, you should take advantage of that while still maintaining quality, of course. So this area on the bottom, I used a 12-inch cut roll to handle the sides and the top. I felt like that got me enough coverage. This bottom's a little bigger, so I'm gonna switch to a 20 here, and we'll do the bottom in a 20-inch. What I like to do when I'm doing these mastic, this particular is a pre-install, right? So we're gonna do this whole roof. But when I'm doing these repairs, especially when I have a big piece of soft polyester like this, I like to make sure as much of it is tight as possible before I make my cuts. I think it makes it a little bit easier. If you start picking that sheet up in the corner and trying to cut it, you might mess up something over here. So I like to just kind of get it adhered as much as possible so that when I do start pulling on corners and such, you know, it doesn't wrinkle up the whole sheet. So now I have most of the sheet in place. There's a couple of spots. You can see some bridging down here. You're gonna need a relief cut. There's a little wrinkle forming right here that we'll see if I can smooth that out, but that might need a relief cut. And the rest of this looks like it's pretty tight through here. So again, it's okay. Make cuts where you need to. That's what I'm gonna do right now and get this thing set into place. Got just a little corner right here missing some mastic. I know it's small, but every little bit counts. So it's a matter of personal pride in your workmanship. Nobody else is ever gonna see this. Nobody else is gonna never know that was there. When it gets covered with paint, no one will see it. But I'm asking you as you're doing this, when you see some little stuff like this, just go ahead and fix it right now. You're here, the bucket's here. Very little extra effort, a couple of seconds worth of time to get that all sealed in properly. And then again, I'm gonna take my glove, I'm tightening this all up. I already worked on this, but I'm just gonna double check it all. And I'm gonna listen for air, watch for wrinkles, and get this all smoothed out nice and tight. And I still have another ply to put on here. If you can see it right in here, there's a little void where I made the cut. Strip material couldn't stretch that far. There's a little triangle missing out of the sheet. And this is part of the reason for our redundancy. This is why we do a 5-course. I'm not worried about some of those little spots. It's not about keeping the polyester intact. It's about building a fully adhered membrane out of the 800 elastic cement and using the polyester as a reinforcement. Could probably call this good and stop here. What we ask is that you go one more time. Again, this is only a 10-year warranty, but I'm already here. I already have the 800 here. I've already set up the ladder. For an extra 10 minutes worth of work on my part right now, I can make this scupper a 40-year scupper instead of a 10-year scupper. So I think it's worth it, as opposed to having to do this again someday. I'm just gonna do a little bit more right now, extra 10, 15 minutes of work to ensure that I don't have to do this again for a long, long time. I'm gonna basically redo this again the same way, but I'm cognitive of where I made my cuts last time, and I'm gonna try not to make the cuts in the same place. So if I made one cut like this in a corner one time, I may make the cut over this way the next time. So we have material and product everywhere, and we're not putting the same cuts in the same place. You as the installer should kind of remember where you cut them last time, and you should be able to move them a half an inch or so. In addition, you can see where my laps are currently, where my sheet stops. I'm gonna extend this next ply out just a little bit, just enough to stagger it so they're not stopping at the exact same spot, not putting any buildup. So I'm just gonna extend it out like an inch, just so when I smooth it out, it's a nice smooth pathway for water to follow when it's trying to leave this roof. And on the inside, I took this past. I want to leave it a little bit heavier. I probably want a good 2 inches past on the inside. But at the end, we're going to put a top coat on this. We'll seal it all in. But I think it's nice to stagger your laps a little bit. And now it's just smoothing it out. This is it for the plies. There'll just be a top coat put on here at the end. But I'm gonna get this all nice and tight right now. A little dry on this side. Felt like down here. See how it's loose, guys? It's not stuck to anything. So I just noticed it. I'll put a little bit more mastic underneath here so it has something to sit into. A little bit on top as well. All right, home stretch. So I got everything. I feel pretty good all the way around. Got the air out, and now it's just gonna be the bottom base layer. So put that in. And judging by the size, I'd like to go a little bit bigger here. So I'm actually gonna use 2 pieces. One, just to extend a little bit deeper into the scupper, so we're not so close to that old roof membrane. And my 20-inch roll, I don't think it's gonna make it. So I got about 2 inches on this side and 2 inches on the other side. So I don't think it's quite gonna make it. I'm gonna double up a little bit. I have a 12-inch roll, I have a 20-inch roll. I even have a 6-inch roll here that I could use at my disposal. So I'm gonna make a call right now that I'm gonna use a 12 just to do the scupper, and then I'll lap that 20 on so I can make my landing pad out here just a little bit bigger. So remember, this is where all the water from the roof is gonna leave from. And as most of us know, this is also where a good portion of our leak calls come from. So spending a little bit more time in this area, I think has a lot of value. And again, I'm here, I already got the glove, I already got the bucket. I might as well put a little more time in right now just to get it right. So here's an opportunity to show all throughout this process I've been making my cuts into the scupper. All the openings have been into the scupper. In this particular situation, because I have made all those cups into the scupper, I have the option now to make my cut outside of the scupper. Smart play. You know, don't double up your cuts if you don't have to. Sometimes you don't have a choice, depending on the shape of things. In this particular case, I do. So I got it all set in real nice and tight on the inside. And as opposed to cutting to the inside, I chose to cut to the outside. I'll do the same thing on the other side. So you can see I'm out on the old roof now, and I'm gonna take a little extra step, and now I can just pull this across here, and that's probably maybe okay, but I'm gonna take an extra step and just kind of grind it into the old roof. Now this roof's been cleaned and it's in good shape, but it doesn't hurt to put a little bit in, really get it dug down into that old membrane. You could do this with the 800, you could do that especially with the 8000 when you're doing wet repairs. Great additional step. Again, I'm already here, so why not take and actually prime it a little bit and grind it down into all the granules that exist on this roof and get full adhesion, something you can feel real confident in. Again, I'm gonna take my sheet out past where my old sheet was. Make sure I got all my polyester covered with mastic. Just gonna do a quick check. Make sure there's no dry spots. Got one right here I can see, so I'll cover that up with some mastic. Kind of like making a bed. Start it at the far end, pull it towards yourself. And pull all the wrinkles out. Feel pretty good about that. This is done. Most of the heavy lifting is complete. I feel real good. I got the air pulled out of here. Now it's just a top coat. So I'll put a thin top coat on top of here, about a 1/16 of an inch. And you can see the size of this 5-course. I mean, I went a little further maybe than necessary, but there was some mastic and some repairs that had been done. I wanted to extend well beyond those, just to make sure we got a real good seal using Western Colloid products. And so I made this a little bigger. But this is nice for when the guys that come to do the field ply, when they're doing the wall flashing, they don't have to worry about trying to get in there with emulsion. They don't have to worry about getting into all these nooks and crannies. They can just ply up to here, make a nice straight cut with the sheet. Don't have to worry about wrapping any corners or anything like that. They got a lot of room to work with, both on the deck as well as on the wall. And then this is gonna be a really nice landing pad for the water to sit while it's waiting for its turn to leave the roof. Very, very strong, long-lasting membrane that we just built here. So I'll just top coat it and then we'll be done. And all while I'm doing this, I'm listening and I'm checking for wrinkles, I'm checking for air. Now's the time, everything's wet. If I find an imperfection while I'm in this process, I'm gonna fix it right now. I'll cut it out if I need to or do what I have to do to fix it. Just realizing right now, probably could have used a 4-inch chip brush. I'm using a 3-inch. We're getting there, but I know I preach proper tool for the proper job. A 4-inch brush would have done just fine in this instance, but we're gonna finish her off with the 3. Just gonna do one quick check of all my borders, make sure those are sealed real good, and one little chunky right here. I'm gonna take that out, smooth this corner out. And again, while it's wet, you have an opportunity to fix anything right now. I mean, I could even pull a piece out if I wanted to, but it all looks pretty good. happy with it. So this is a 5-course detail on a scupper. This particular one we're doing prior to the roof installation, but this same detail can be used in your repair work as well. So even if you're not doing the whole roof, go through a process like this. I appreciate you bearing with me. And this is a time-consuming process, but I promise you, you go about handling your drains and your scuppers this way, and this is something that's going to be very, very long-lasting. So you're not going to have to worry about tearing this out and redoing it anytime in the near future. So again, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. That's about it.